Possible adoption, a new emergency preparedness committee, which came to be in the wake of a shooting scare at City Hall in May. While the incident was ultimately a false alarm, Common Council President Jose Perez said earlier this month it exposed weaknesses in the city's internal communications.
I want to be able to codify whatever we can in this process and the suggestions that come out of it.
The council will also consider approving the city's Vision Zero action plan against reckless driving and adopting a task force to design a new city flag. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Grocery shoppers, listen up. 5 Pick and Save stores are closing in the Milwaukee area.
Pick and Save says the closures are part of a larger company-wide decision to run more efficiently, and each impacted store associate will have the opportunity to transfer to a nearby location. The statement did not say when the stores will close. Kroger announced last week plans to close 60 of its grocery stores across the U.S. Kroger owns Milwaukee area grocer Roundy's Supermarkets, the operator of Pick and Save and Metro Market. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
A list of the Pick and Save stores closing can be found on our website, WTMJ.com. Work has begun on a project that would add a distillery to the Harley-Davidson corporate headquarters on Milwaukee's west side. Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reporting that Central Standard Distillery has formally purchased the building on the campus for $1 million. Building renovations will begin later this summer, with the distillery opening in late spring of 2026. And the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs could wrap up soon. The defense isn't planning to call any witnesses, and the prosecution is expected to rest its case today.
The evidentiary phase of the trial is going to be over today. There will be a charging conference where the lawyers debate the judge's instructions to the jury on Wednesday, and then closing arguments on Thursday.
That's ABC's Aaron Katersky reporting outside the courtroom in New York. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. A lot of green here this morning, with the Dow up nearly 400 points at 42,966. NASDAQ up about 250 at 19,876. S&P 500 up about 55 at 6,078. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Financial planning at every level. For details, visit annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:03.
Your home can be more maintenance-free when you rely on J&B.
This is Tom Feza. When I need information about siding, I call Scott Klein, owner of J&B Construction, provider of high-quality exterior home improvement products and services since 1958.
I'm Scott Klein. If you're tired of painting or your siding is beyond repair, it may be time to look at the advantages of a new siding system. Additional insulation, along with Tyvek's weatherization system, can significantly improve your home's energy efficiency while protecting it from water and air infiltration. We offer a variety of siding products, all installed by J&B's certified employees, which will provide decades of performance and beauty.
For a complimentary siding evaluation, call Scott at 262-437-0537 or visit jnbconstruction.com.
Your home can be more maintenance-free when you rely on J&B.
It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Time for WTMJ Sports Updates from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. Brewers pitching strikes out 16, but they allow 15 hits in a 5-4 loss to the Pirates. Game 2 of that 3-game series tonight. Coverage gets underway following the 6 o'clock news on WTMJ. On the eve of the NBA draft, former Bucks guard Drew Holiday is being traded to the Portland Trailblazers. Milwaukee owns just one selection in the 2-day draft. It begins Wednesday night. The Bucks will pick on Thursday. It's pick number 47 overall in the second round. Taking a look at the roads, the WTMJ time saver traffic update. Got a slowdown here heading eastbound on 94. Delays begin about Hawley Road. We'll take you through the Stadium interchange. About a 5-minute delay if you're making your way downtown from west to east. Normal slowdown spots here, 41, 45 northbound and southbound. Southbound delays begin just south of 175. We'll take you through about Burleigh. Northbound delays begin just after Watertown Plank. Not a ton of volume here. It's only going to cost you a couple of minutes through that construction area. Otherwise, pretty standard travel times, what you're used to here at 10 o'clock. Scattered storms possible today, otherwise a mixture of sun and clouds and a high of 80 degrees. Mostly cloudy on Wednesday, another chance of storms and a high of 75. Thursday, partly cloudy, another scattered storm chance and a high of 80 degrees. Right now it is 79 in Waukesha, 77 in Green Bay, and 75 at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:07.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristin Brey.
Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Steve will be back tomorrow. Very excited to have him back, but I'm even more excited, don't tell him, for my co-host today, who will be with me for all 2 hours, Brian Reisinger. You've heard him probably on multiple shows across WTMJ. You've been on and off, I think, for years, probably through all of the different work you've done in Wisconsin. But he is an award-winning writer, grew up on a family farm in Sauk County. He's the author of Land Rich, Cash Poor, My Family's Hope, and the Untold Story of the Disappearing American Farmer. He used to work in politics here for Ron Johnson, Scott Walker. He was a journalist before that. And now he splits time between California and Wisconsin. And since you were here in Wisconsin, I was like, do you want to come co-host with me? And here you are.
You snagged me. Look, I wasn't born in a barn, but I was raised in one, so I'm just happy wherever they're going to put me on the air, honestly. I'll take it.
You're pretty good at this. I mean, that's the thing. So I forgot how similar the name was, but back in 2023, you and I kind of did like the original Point Taken for Journal Sentinel, because you also contributing columnist for Journal Sentinel. Right. And there was this idea of us doing was it monthly?
I think it was monthly.
It was a monthly 15-minute kind of quick hitter, center right, center left talk show. And it was called Get to the Point.
It was.
So it was very similar to the name we chose for this show.
I'm happy to be part of the origin story for this show.
Yeah.
What I think we really learned is I've got a face for radio and like a voice for like gray printed written word. So just a warning to the listeners.
But the thing is funny for Steve and I, we advertise this show as far as how different we are, because he's a couple generations older than me. He's conservative. He's a man. And some of those differences are also the same for you and I, except the fact that we were both millennial parents to toddler girls. Right. But we also both lived in many cities. We've changed careers many times. Mm-hmm. But you are center right, and I am. I don't know if I'm center left. I don't know how I would identify it.
Down. But for me too, I focus so much on rural issues where it's just like if you think any one ideology has solved those problems, you haven't been paying attention. But the other thing is like having a little girl changes my perspective. We're raising strong, independent women in our household, and so I do a lot of listening.
Okay.
So,
is she talking?
She is babbling.
Okay.
Actively. She knows. That correlates with a lot of what she does these days. She knows bye-bye. And the rest of it is completely disconnected.
You're
just
like,
sounds.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about Frankie?
She is talking more. There's new words. She said her name yesterday, which was very exciting. So certainly more words every day. She also climbed out of her crib last night.
Oh, my.
Dad left the ottoman a little too close to the crib. And she was like, oh, that's a soft landing. And so we were both downstairs, and then all of a sudden, so was she.
That is a little scary.
You have that to look forward to.
You're living in the future for me by like a few months.
I think it's like 6.
Yeah, and so I just like watch your social media to see what to expect. Anna the other day raised her little foot up on top of the upper border of the toddler tower. And so I'm seeing her test those boundaries right now.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun, but it's also like, oh God, now we have to put everything a little bit higher because you are getting tall.
It's fun, terrifying, the whole thing.
Fun, terrifying. All right. Well, when we come back, got to talk about are we in a ceasefire? Are we not in a ceasefire? Trump dropped an F-bomb. So let's get into all of that after this. He is Brian Reisinger. I am Kristin Brey, and this is Point Taken.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Summer in Milwaukee means a couple of things: Brewers baseball and live music. Get the best of both when the Brewers take on the Rockies June 27th, featuring a post-game concert by Nelly. Then, the first 25,000 fans at the game on Saturday, June 28th, get a Pat Murphy Manager of the Year bobblehead, courtesy of Toyota. Get ready for a weekend you'll be talking about all summer. Get your tickets at Brewers.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Outdoor Living Unlimited. Outdoor Living Unlimited is Wisconsin's #1 TimberTech decking installer. We install anything decks and more. Stop by Outdoor Living Unlimited showroom and visit OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Flooring, carpeting, bath, or kitchen remodeling. Adair is the name Milwaukee has trusted for 65 years. This is Rob Adair. Ready to remodel? Give us a call, 761-3660. Get personal care from Adair, South 27th in Franklin.
Well, you're probably on the hunt for buried treasure.
Buried treasure.
For this series, you may want to bring your tape measure.
Fly ball, center field, deep, and gone! The local kid connects for a 2-run bomb, and the Brewers have the lead.
The Brewers host the Pirates for a 3-game set. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. My co-host for today is Brian Reisinger. And it was funny because you being the diligent person you are, we planned this a couple weeks ago, but you texted me, I think it was either Thursday, being like, hey, do you want to have a call tomorrow to talk about what we're going to talk about on Tuesday? And I was like, we may be in war by Monday, so maybe we should connect on Monday. And lo and behold, we did have that news over the weekend as far as...
Look what happened. I was under a rock thinking mainly about farms and other things, and then I got worried that the rock was going to get blown up. And so then I came out, and then since then we're in a war and have since halted one and maybe not, and we're kind of cussing about it. So who can tell?
Yeah, so as of yesterday when we ended this show, we were kind of bracing for what was going to happen. Pretty quickly after this show, Iran had sent missiles to Qatar, but kind of gave us a warning, and they were intercepted, and no one was hurt. And then it was kind of a feeling like, is that it? Is this it? Mm-hmm. And then last night, there was a long social media or Truth Social post from President Trump saying, the ceasefire is here. Congratulations to everyone. Like, huzzah. Mm-hmm. And then it seems like that didn't hold, and still trying to understand, did both Israel and Iran break this ceasefire? Was it things that were already in motion? But one thing we do know for sure is that Trump is a little frustrated. So this was him getting on the Air Force One this morning, headed to the NATO conference.
I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
No, I am someone who actually finds that, all those social science of people who curse like are more trusted. Like I actually do subscribe to that because I have a bit. I sound like a pirate when I'm not on air. But you can tell how frustrated he is, and I think it's interesting because, and I would love to get your thoughts on this, as far as what we saw in the lead up to this. It was like the fission of, is that the word that I want to use? Sure. There's in the Republican Party, there is like the war hawks of George W. Bush era type thinking. And then there is a huge part of MAGA that is America first, no new wars. Mm-hmm. And this was kind of forcing those two to figure it out. Right. But I don't even know which one Trump actually is.
So here's my theory on it. Like him or not, he's hard to put in a box.
For sure.
And he is, in my mind, practicing, I think knowingly, the madman theory of international relations. It's the same thing with the tariffs, where it's sort of like, what's he going to do? You don't know. And if you don't, and this is pioneered by Nixon, but if you don't know what someone's going to do, you kind of have to take them seriously. Like, okay, they're gonna bomb the beep out of us. I don't know where the FCC guidelines are. I see that Trump wasn't able to say.
Yeah,
F-bomb.
Trump can't say that one. No F, no S, no GD.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I'll jot that down. So he's practicing this madman theory where, like, you don't know what he's going to do. And that is true internationally. I think that's part of the reason probably that Iran said, like, okay, whoa. But it's also true domestically and within the Republican Party. It's unexpected. And I think he deliberately does not fall in either of those boxes. He's willing to bomb their nuclear facility. He's willing to take out Soleimani a couple years ago, parade that around the country. But he's also, in so many other ways, America first and kind of non-interventionist, protectionist, right? So I think he's purposefully hard to pin down. And I think you see that in almost every way that people interact with him, including within the GOP and the war hawks and the America First crowd. It's sort of like, it's hard to know what he's going to do. It's hard to put him in a specific place. And that is held together, I think, by his force of personality,
Because do you think there are more people in his ear advising the next decision and he's kind of going with his instinct as far as what sounds right now? Or is it more his instinct that is leading everyone? Because I think this is what it seems like the difference between the first administration versus now is now it is a lot more loyalists versus people who had a lot more experience before who kind of tamed in decisions in the first administration. And so who's, for lack of a better way to put it, who's leading right now? Like who do you think is is it more him making the decisions or is it more him making decisions based on the people around him?
Well, who knows?
Yeah,
is the honest answer. But I think it's his gut instinct.
Okay.
I think it's his gut instinct to not fit in any one particular box. And I think he's got a real mix of people around him as far as the different viewpoints that he'll get. And I'm not sure who he's listening to other than himself. And I think that's part of, you look at, a lot of people who are trying to predict what Trump is going to do or trying to represent what the administration is going to do. It'll change. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the reasons is, I don't know if the last person who talks to him know or only he know, but like it'll change, right in front of their faces.
Like the regime change.
That's true.
That is where J.D. Vance went on all the Sunday shows saying, no regime change. And then Truth Social saying, I don't know. Maybe. Speaking of that, let's take a break quickly. And I will get your opinion on, because you were a journalist at one point, how much of the Truth Socials are news to be reported on? And like, this is what's happening now versus maybe let's wait. So let's talk about that on the other side of this. He is Brey Reisinger, my co-host for the full 2-hour show today. And I am Kristin Brey. And this is Point Taken.
Monica, we've got to hand it to you.
You and the design team have outdone yourselves.
Are you talking about the One collection?
Those rings say you are the one.
And they say it symbolically.
Describe the symbols.
Every ring in the One collection should be presented with a special ritual.
What would that ritual be?
You pick up her left hand and you place a kiss on her ring finger.
Rick, you never told me about that part.
Then you show her the tiny red diamond, flush mounted inside the ring, that will forever be in contact with her finger.
Why is it red?
Because that's when the giver says to the one, wherever you go, my heart goes with you.
I give you this kiss. I give you my heart.
The red diamond is a secret symbol of that sacred moment.
The center diamond on the outside of the ring is for the whole world to see.
But the tiny red created diamond inside the ring is only for the two of them.
The One collection of engagement rings is available exclusively at Kessler's.
To find the Kesslers nearest you,
Visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
After writing 3 unsuccessful offers, Brenda decided to make a no-regrets offer on this next property. She offered $35,000 over asking and promised to complete the purchase even if the appraised value came in as much as $25,000 below the accepted offer price. Why? Because she was tired of losing, and because her Accunet loan consultant showed her that even in her worst-case scenario, no additional money would be needed at closing, and her payment, which on this home was much more affordable than others she wrote offers on, would only increase by $17 a month. Brenda's no-regrets offer, backed up by a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet, was accepted over several others. And wouldn't you know, the appraised value came in at the significantly higher than asking purchase price, which happens 9 out of 10 times in our experience. If you or someone you know wants help understanding what a no-regrets pre-approval might look like, get started by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
Here's to sweet summer days together with friends and family in Wisconsin. To discovering magic in every moment.
Hey, Mom, over here.
And to reconnecting through a world filled with wonder.
Wow.
Here's to supper club celebrations and dancing until the sun goes down. Here's to those who Wisconsin. Plan your summer getaway at travelwisconsin.com.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on June 24th.
Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third deck.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in June 24th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Well, welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey here with Brian Reisinger, author, communications expert, dad. I'm very excited to be doing the show with you today. And so as we kind of wrap up this is a developing story. I think we've been talking about Israel and Iran every day until the next thing happens.
It's the CNN breaking news chyron over and over, like on overtime.
Before I ask you the question about the Truth Social tweets being news, do you have any other thoughts as far as your time in politics and the lens you look at this through?
You know, for me, I got so frustrated with the rank partisanship, and a lot of the stuff that I work on now, like I said, doesn't fit a partisan box, that I mostly just look at and try to take a step back and take as much as possible. Maybe this will inform my Truth Social response, but take as much of it as possible with a grain of salt. Because, we really don't know, and it's just such a swirl. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people are frustrated by politics, right, left, or somewhere in between. People don't know what to value, what to pay attention to. And so they turn back, I think, to their own lives, which I don't think is totally bad.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about that a lot over the last week with my birthday. And
happy birthday.
Thank you.
21.
Yes, totally. And thinking about obviously this is my job. So to a certain extent, I have to know enough to be able to talk about it. But then also having this deep desire these days, which I've never really had before, to really just hang out with my kid and be outside and enjoy the summer. And I think that I've been talking to other people, and I think there's a lot of people who feel that way right now as far as there's so much happening, and it's just easier to tune it out for now.
Totally. And people have that impulse. I mean, we are on a radio show where we know and hope that many more people
I
are
would
listening.
imagine the people who are listening are not necessarily feeling like that. Maybe not.
But people want refreshing voices and something different, I think. I can tell you we've added 2 listeners this morning, my wife and my little girl.
Hey!
At least one will be a fan of this, however it turns out. I'll let you decide who. But, so we're going.
I wonder if she's just looking at the, Dada?
Yeah, she's doing the data thing, and then she's also eyeing the crib boundaries because of what she's heard.
Oh, yeah.
From her friend
She's
in
like,
Wisconsin.
oh,
She's like,
planting seeds.
Whole new world.
Sorry about that. All right, so going back to this idea that we're now back in the mind frame of, is when Donald Trump puts out a truth social, is that policy? Is that news? Like, how much do journalists report that, and how much do any of us kind of take that as marching orders of like, all right, well, this is what's happening now, versus taking a breath and waiting?
Again, trying to say is a dangerous proposition, but I think he means all of it.
Okay.
I think he means all of it. The question is what's going to turn into something real, and I think that sometimes depends on how much something gets picked up and how much legs there is. Something like the Greenland thing, it's just that people are like, oh, that's kind of interesting, Here's the theory that I suggest, and this is true. People who like Trump, people who don't like Trump, you see this in focus groups, see it all over the place. People will, even supporters will say, well, back in the day it was tweeting, but they'd say, well, I wish you would tweet a little less, And I tell people, take like one out of every three and just set it aside, because there's just some of it that's noise. And then the other thing is watch for the media catnip, because it's all throughout. And when you see the media, with all due respect again to those in the media, when you see the media going in one major direction, it's probably because Trump threw the stick that way and he's about to go the other way. And so I always say, pull out 1/3 of them and then just watch for that media catnip. And I think you can begin to peel back the layers a little bit.
Who do you think does a good job not falling prey to the catnip? As far as like the national White House correspondents, like who do you think is like, oh, they're kind of crushing it?
This may or may not be a popular thing. I wasn't a fan of the Jim Acosta sort of performative, thing. Caitlin Collins, man, she does not take the bait. Like,
she is wildly impressive. I really didn't know that much about her.
Amazing.
Her rise has been incredible to watch. And I think it was a John that we were talking about, Jon Stewart in the Weekly Show.
That's right.
And he interviewed her, and even her answers to him, how she didn't take his bait, as far as like she was very straightforward in how she answered the questions.
Yeah.
But it was interesting taking the way she was like, Trump doesn't really sleep.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, do you sleep? She goes, no, not really either. And like the type of reporter that also can cover the White House, of knowing that, and she just seems to have not figured him out, but like she's very even keeled in her approach to not being ruffled or at all by him, like either saying anything to her. She's very even.
She's not. She's all brass tacks. She's not to be hoodwinked. Like she's just sort of on point. And I think that's sort of her strength. She sort of is just able to continue with whatever it is she's pursuing. And she said something really interesting in that interview, right? She was talking about like how she thinks Trump respects that. Whether people think that or not, he's given more access than a lot of presidents because he likes to just sort of like mix it up. And she says that he thinks that, yes, he loves a nice question, who doesn't? But she thinks that he likes that back and forth and that pressure and kind of a worthy adversary. And so that's her.
Well, and it was interesting because I remember her saying that on the podcast, but that made me think of, remember how the day after the Kamala debate, which she objectively won, right? And he went up to her, I think it was the 9/11 memorial.
Yeah.
And he went up to her, and I think he shook her hand. He said something, he was like, good job last night, or something like that. And there was almost that vibe of, you got a couple, like, good on you, girl. Like, you got a couple good ones in there. And, like, there was a respect factor to that. Now, obviously, what he was saying publicly was very different, but it kind of gave that vibe.
Yeah, it's a begrudging thing, and he's still going to take shots. And part of that is just expressing the frustration that a lot of people have. And part of it is just keeping the pressure on her.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to move on to farms and immigration, because you wrote an op-ed about that recently. So stay with us.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Regarding auto loan rates, credit card interest, mortgage rates, testifying to a congressional panel, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says the central bank's in no hurry to lower the bank interest rates that affect consumer loans. Powell says he wants more clarity about the extent of Trump tariffs. Powell says the U.S. economy remains strong. Positive reaction to word from President Trump of a Iran-Israel ceasefire. Following strong showings of Asian stock markets, Wall Street major indexes are solidly higher. Crude oil prices dropped a bit earlier. But after 5 consecutive months of decline, then an upswing last month, the Conference Board's consumer confidence readings fell back this month, says ABC's Jim Ryan.
Conference Board analysts say the numbers suggest that consumers still anticipate a recession later this year.
U.S. official confirms drones unsuccessfully targeted some U.S. military bases in Iraq last night, and there were no American casualties. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 10:31. 75 degrees and sunny in Milwaukee. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Greg Matzik. The undocumented immigrant at the center of the federal case involving a Milwaukee County judge pleading guilty to entering the country illegally. Eduardo Flores Ruiz now faces a maximum penalty of 2 years in prison. He'll voluntarily deport after serving any time. Flores Ruiz arrested by ICE agents in April after appearing in Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. Judge Dugan is charged with trying to help Flores Ruiz escape agents after his court appearance. A federal judge recently delayed Dugan's trial. No new date has been scheduled. Wisconsin's largest public university is recommending budget cuts of at least 5% for all departments. UW-Madison Chancellor Jennifer Mnuchin says the cuts are a result of the budget situation as well as uncertainty regarding potential tariffs. State Republicans on the legislature's budget committee are considering an $87 million cut to the UW system. And Pick and Save is closing 5 of its grocery stores in the Milwaukee area. The impacted stores include 2 in Milwaukee and 1 each in Glendale, South Milwaukee, and Oak Creek. A spokesperson for Pick and Save did not say when the stores will close. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Lots of green here at 10:32. The Dow is up over 400 points at 42,981. The NASDAQ up 260 at 19,891. And the S&P 500 is up about 55 this morning at 6,080. Annex Wealth Management. Visit annexwealth.com for sound advice from a fee-only fiduciary. Taking a look at your roads, a WTMJ Time Saver traffic update. Slowdown spots here include 94 eastbound. Things slowing down about Hawley Road. It'll take you through the Stadium Interchange. About a 5-minute delay if you're working your way from State Fair Park to the downtown area. Be mindful of the slowdown there. Volume's starting to pick up a little bit. Headed northbound on 4145. Delays begin just after Watertown Plank. Should start to clear up as you get closer to Hampton Avenue. About a 3-minute delay going north. Southbound delays begin at 175 and clear up around Burleigh. That, too, is about a 3-minute delay. Well, temperatures a little cooler than they have been the last few days. Still feeling a little bit of that humidity. A high of 82 degrees. Chance for afternoon storms. Tonight, scattered storms are possible with a low of 62. We cool off a little bit on Wednesday, mostly cloudy, chance for scattered storms and a high of 73. Thursday's high 79, again partly cloudy with a chance of scattered storms. Right now it's 82 degrees in Racine, 74 in Reedsburg, 76 in Richland Center, 75 at the Avenue. I'm Greg Matzik, Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time is 10:34.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here for Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin, the best in the area. They're going to take care of you big time. You want to play pickleball. You want to golf. You want to play with your grandkids in the front yard and do it with no pain. Go to the place that has the highest patient satisfaction ratings and the top doctors in the area. It's Orthopedic Hospital of Wisconsin. I've met the docs. I've walked through the hospital. It's absolutely incredible. They're going to take great care of you from beginning to end. Go to OHOW.com, hit the request an appointment button. OHOW.com, request an appointment.
An unsuspecting driver at a gas station in Wisconsin.
Welcome, Pump 15. How you doing?
Great.
Were you wearing your seatbelt today?
I never wear my seatbelt.
We're going to get him. We're going to get him real good.
Oh, my goodness.
Hello, sir. How you doing? Donald Driver. It takes 1 second to strap a seatbelt on. Well, let's do this. Let's do it together. Now, don't that feel better?
Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Click it or ticket.
And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways.
And I should have recognized your voice when you're harassing.
I'm watching you.
Sponsored by Wisconsin DOT.
What if you could lose up to 1 pound of fat every single day at Milwaukee Weight Loss? They've got the secret, and it's helping people shed serious weight fast. Hey, it's Steve Scavini from WTMJ. I've been on the Milwaukee Weight Loss program since January and currently in the maintenance phase after losing, get this, 40 pounds. It was fast, easy, and safe, and I'm sticking with the incredible team at Milwaukee Weight Loss to keep the weight off. Their doctor-developed, easy-to-follow program helps people lose weight naturally and safely with no drugs, no risky injections, no meal kits, no shakes, no exercise required. It's not just about losing weight. It's about resetting your metabolism to keep it off for good with personal coaching every step of the way. And guess what? Their program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast as most other programs. Many clients lose 20 to 30 pounds in just a month or two, up to 1 pound of fat a day. Book your free consultation now at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com or call 262-449-1180. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. My co-host today is Brian Reisinger, multifaceted, multi-hat-wearing friend. One of the many things that you do is you contribute columns to the Journal Sentinel, where you mostly talk about rural issues, farm issues, because you grew up on a farm in South County. You did not become a farmer, though.
That's right. That's right. We wrestle with that openly in the pages of the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. So.
Exactly. And so you are, between you and Pam Yonke, I feel like are my go-to, like, make me understand this from the farmer's perspective. Yeah. What is the media is like a story that gets told versus what is real. And I think quite obviously one of the big headlines before Trump got elected, when part of the platform was mass deportation, this conversation was happening. It's certainly happening now, of how much of the workforce labor on farms, especially in Wisconsin, are undocumented immigrants. And so you wrote about this most recently. I think this was just yesterday. We're brand spanking new.
Old news by Iran airstrike standards, but otherwise relatively fresh at jsonline.com.
Exactly. So the title is Farmers Forgotten as Debate Over ICE Raids at Dodgers and No Kings Protests Rage. So what made you want to write this?
Like so much of what I talk about, thank you for mentioning Pam Yonke. What a living legend.
Oh my God.
But
hey, kids!
I try to write about what are the things being talked about on the bar stool in Plain, Wisconsin, or on farm radio in the morning. And the issue with immigration is an example of farmers being caught between these cross-cutting political winds, right? So on the one hand, farmers, many people in rural communities support what is actually a bipartisan goal of securing the border, but they support that. They may have voted for President Trump for that reason. And at the same time, they see the role that immigrant families play in milking our cows, picking our produce. It's true more so on larger farms than ones like I grew up on, but it's increasingly true more and more. And so we're kind of caught in this, between the politics of immigration and the politics of our food supply. And how do we deal with that? And so I just felt like that was an unspoken thing. Actually, sometimes people act like, for one thing, rural America is just like a bunch of ticked off white people. There's also ticked off people from all corners of the globe. And I grew up with so many immigrant families in our community working alongside of farm families. And so it's this really kind of fraught thing. What do we do about it? It's a deep economic dilemma.
And so how much, because I know there was like a second pause of we're not going to, like the ICE isn't going to raid farms. Yep. And then was kind of, again, how much do you believe the truth socials?
Right.
And so where are we right now? Like, have you talked to many farmers in Wisconsin who have had like a depletion in their workforce?
Yeah, right now, we're getting into harvest season for some types of crops. There's going to be more crops harvested in the fall. In Wisconsin, it's more about milking cows.
Yeah.
Out in California, out west, it's more about the hand-picked vegetables, stuff like that. The deportations had at first been really targeting criminal elements, stuff like that. And then I think what we saw in the early summer here is it was getting closer and closer to impacting farms, restaurants, hotels. That's when you saw Trump's pause. Then you saw Trump's unpause. And now they're kind of talking about how they know farms will do the right thing. And also they're talking about like revising the guest worker program. So I think what you're seeing is a little bit of they want to continue to be tough on immigration, but they also want to sort of send a signal to the agriculture community and give them a way out. Like farmers, the only reason that they're stuck in this is because Washington has failed to roll up its sleeves for so many years and do something about this issue. The only reason we're picking between securing the border and having the workforce that our farms need is because this problem remains unsolved. So there's some obvious things. One of them is secure the border while making sure that there's access to labor. You can do that through H-2A visas and other things for farm work to make sure that we have the people in this country who are wanting to find a way to have a hand up and do the work to be part of it. And so there are ways out, and I think that we're watching the Trump administration kind of work through that right now.
Well, that is because, and then we'll come back and talk about the 5 solutions that you proposed. But that's fine. But I also think it's interesting what you just said as far as there is this. Why is it that more citizens don't want to work on a farm?
You're asking me.
But that's what you know what I mean? Like as far as because like we say,
yeah.
There is this. They make up so much of the labor, whether it's in California or here, and Washington has put farmers in this spot. But it's also because they're in this spot partially because of the lack of political fortitude to get things done. Which I am on the side of make it easier. I think a lot of people are like make it easier.
Right.
And there's also the fact that there's a lot of people who don't want to work on a farm.
Right. I'm going to tease another solution. I'm going to tease it only, and we'll come back to it. So the reason I think is because you don't see a lot of bright economic future for our farmers. We need to change that. So you got, kids like me who grew up not really having a talent for cattle and crops, loving where I was from. And so that means that I go have a writing career and torture myself publicly about it for the next 20 years.
Soft hands.
But then you've got other kids like my nephew who would love to farm, but those kids aren't being told by guidance counselors that it's a bright economic future. And also the wages and other things reflect that. So we need to find a way to turn things around for our farms so that they're growing entrepreneurial ventures, have rising wages and thriving small businesses in place of this relentless shift toward bigger farms and cheaper labor. And we haven't found a way to do that. And so you have a lot of people who I think would work in agriculture, but they end up going into the trades, they go into the military, they go to college like I did. Those are all noble things to do. But more of them would work in agriculture, I think, if they knew that there's a future in it. These kids are trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives, and that's a freaky thing.
That is a freaky thing. All right. Yeah. Fascinating stuff. He is Brey Reisinger. We will talk about his 5 solutions. We kind of teased a couple of them to our immigration problems when it comes to farmers. Stay with us on Point Taken.
The Census Bureau says more than 12,000 Americans turn 65 each day. It's a surge they call Peak 65, the highest number in history. Some Annex clients retire early. Some keep working because they love it. You know why? Because they've got custom plans built by fee-only fiduciaries. They identified their wants and needs, and we went to work. We want to do the same for you. Annex does financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, J&B Construction. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at AnnexWealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, founder of Right Choice Tax, and best-selling author on how to have less stress with the IRS. The IRS says there is over $330 billion that is delinquent. Are you in that number? Many of the clients we see get notices that are wrong, but they don't know what to do. This is why I started Right Choice Tax Resolution, to help people fight the IRS and state. You don't know the ins and outs of all the taxes they can charge you or the more than 150 penalties they can impose on you. The issue won't go away by doing nothing. You may be able to fix the issue if you act in time. Make the right choice and call us at 844-222-1192. Don't let them wipe out your bank account or retirement plan. Call us at 844-222-1192 or visit rightchoicetax.us right now to book a meeting. We understand how stressful this can be. The situation won't go away if you do nothing. That's 844-222-1192 or rightchoicetax.us.
Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. So he said to me, boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders. And I said, you betcha. And he said, do you mind if I cherry pick? And I said, feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
All right, we are here with Brian Reisinger the whole show today, and we were talking about his Journal Sentinel column this week, yesterday more specifically, and you lay out 5 ways we can fix the immigration crisis. And so I will let you summarize what you think we should be focused on, or not even we, because I think a lot of people are going to agree with you.
Yeah.
And it's just having some of our lawmakers actually prioritize fixing this.
Well, we'll see. When the hate mail comes in, Steve's back, and I'm out of the chair.
Yeah.
So
they don't know where to find you.
That's on him.
I mean, if they Google your name, they could probably find
That's
it
true.
easily.
That's true. So we talked about it, but number one is putting family farms first. Family farms have been for too long heading toward this relentless push for bigger farms and cheaper labor. If we have farms that are growing, small businesses that have more freedom for higher wages and entrepreneurial opportunity, that's something that, kind of loosens up the situation and means that we don't have to have this relentless shift toward cheaper and cheaper labor. That's a really important thing. It's also good for our food supply, the cost of food, all that other stuff. Crack down on the cartels. This is something we can all agree on. Human trafficking is an atrocity, and it also is something that, as a byproduct, there's a whole industry around trying to conceal and create, seemingly proper documentation of legal status and all that sort of stuff, and that grows out of people being trafficked in part.
Yeah. And that's not just sex trafficking. I think people forget that people get trafficked for labor.
That's right.
I don't know what the stats are as far as how much for what, but the amount of indentured servants, let's say, who get trafficked is not insignificant.
That's absolutely right. And then that feeds into a solution that we talked about just a little bit ago, which is this twin goal of securing the border, which is, cracking down on the cartels is the worst part of that. Securing the border while ensuring workforce access. And there is a way to secure the border, which both sides have agreed on at different times, and to have H-2A visas and other types of work visas allowing the legal workforce that is needed and that, people who are coming to this country want to be part of. The other ones are a little bit broader picture. Technology. Right now, AI is threatening everyone's job. And also technology is leaving our family farms behind because more and more technology is tilted toward big machinery that will only work on big farms that can afford it. So if we make our technology focused around eliminating the most menial jobs and, again, rising wages, and we make it focused on technology that can move family farms of all sizes forward, we can reverse these things. That can be a turnover on downs. Lastly, the other big controversy is global trade. And if we can find a way to make it more fair, wipe out unfair trade standards and open up new markets, which is a whole other discussion. But if we can do that, we have a way to, create more future prosperity for farms. Again, making it so that they don't have to have this kind of a choice. And rising wages, entrepreneurial opportunity, and Washington fixing this mess is something that benefits everybody.
Which of those do you think is the most feasible?
That's a great question. I would say cracking down on the cartels.
Okay.
Because who isn't pissed about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an easy bad guy.
Yeah.
That's an easy enemy to say, let's go after that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I guess that's the thing. It's sometimes what I think about, how everyone's on the same page is yes, people who are undocumented, who are also committing crimes and violent crimes, prioritize, go after them. But they're also committing crimes, so aren't they already going after them? So are we just not prioritizing cartels right now?
Yeah.
That's a question.
It's a great question. I really don't know. I do know that, there's issues with getting the Mexican government to cooperate, and there's issues of sovereignty and things like that, so it gets a little messy. So, yeah.
All right, well, let's take another break, and when we come back, I want to get your opinion on tariffs and how that's impacting farmers, since that was your last solution as far as what ideal trade would look like for farmers. So he is Brian Reisinger. I am Kristin Brey. Stay with us on Point Taken.
Hey, if you love true, authentic Mexican food, I highly recommend you stop at the Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford today. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The Mind Chef is the most affordable, family-friendly dining restaurant, and the Tuesday all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet is just $9.99. Whoa, that's incredible. Desserts are buy one, get one free. Kids and grandkids under 3 eat for free. Today from the kids menu. They'll love that huge game room quietly set aside from the dining area wherever you live. It's worth the drive to the Mine Chef today for the all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet, just $9.99. Excelente. Wednesday, the all-you-can-eat haddock fish fry is $7.99. That's a crazy low price. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford, just off Highway 41 near the EAA in Oshkosh. 2 locations, both fantastic. No need to cook today. Just walk in, relax, and enjoy the all-you-can-eat Tuesday Mexican buffet for under $10. Check it out, minechefrestaurant.com.
Save on the best quality furniture and mattresses during the July Independence Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. With major discounts from our premier suppliers, you will save big on top brands like Bradington Young, made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. Bradington Young is known for its fine quality leather upholstery. Fjords brings you modern Scandinavian design recliners and sofas, ergonomically engineered for more hip and back support. Norwalk, with American roots that go back over 100 years, specializes in making furniture just for you. Choose the piece, style, fabric, or leather you want, and in just 35 days, we'll deliver your new sofa, chair, or sectional. In-stock or special orders are all sale priced. Need a little help putting it all together? At Ken Michaels Furniture, our design staff is ready to help you with your purchases, and it's free. Stop in today and save now during the Independence Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield, Highway 100 in Greenfield, or our downtown Mattress Factory showroom.
Looking ahead to life's next adventure? Hi, I'm Mike Yancey from Yancey & Associates. Whether you're buying a home or launching your dream business, we know there's a lot on your plate. But here's the thing, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1946, we've helped Wisconsinites like you secure, protect, and grow their version of the American dream. Our team is ready to tailor the perfect plan for you. Learn more at ansay.com. That's ANSAY.com.
State Fair is right around the corner, and it's time to savor the savings. These $15 tickets will only be available through June 29th. Save today so you'll be feeling good at the Wisconsin State Fair, presented by U.S. Cellular, July 31st through August 10th.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on June 24th.
Uh-oh. Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third down.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in June 24th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Rounding out our first hour of Point Taken with my friend Brian Reisinger, and talking a little bit more about the impact of different policy choices from this administration on farmers, both in Wisconsin but across the country. And so kind of set the record straight as far as where we're at with the tariffs and how that's impacting either good or bad, but then also what would be ideal.
Well, we're talking about every red hot mess out there. So let's dive into tariffs.
We really covered all of it. We have a little bit more nuance in the next hour, but this is the big hitters.
So on the tariff situation, where we're at is, I mean, at one time, obviously President Trump had threatened tariffs on everybody, and he stepped back from that, and they talked about how there were countries wanting to negotiate. And there is I think it's July 9th, where some of that stuff kicks back in if there aren't more negotiations. Who knows where it will go, what direction to go. What I've said is, again, regardless of what people think of the president's approach and trade issues, is we have to seize this moment where there are some countries that want to negotiate more deals that put family farms first. And what I mean by that is not these great big massive trade deals that have huge trade-offs, like multiple products across multiple countries where it's good for the beef farmers but bad for the tomato growers. You know, we need to have more deals that are individual in nature with individual countries, and we need to have more of them. There were actually only 20 trade deals as of 2022 that America was part of. So right now, when you have countries wanting to negotiate, again, whether we wanted to be here or not, we have to take the fact that people want to negotiate with us And we have to use that opportunity to wipe out these unfair trade standards and open up more markets all across the globe so that our farmers can sell goods domestically and globally. We have to do both. We have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
What do you feel like as far as the policies that have come down so far that have been the most helpful?
Yep. So the most helpful so far have been the announcements of agreements with, say, for instance, the UK.
Okay.
So the UK wants to buy more homegrown, American-grown beef. That's a good thing. We need more of those types of deals with more countries, but the UK has been a really, really good start. And it's also an opportunity for people who grow fresh beef, who grow homegrown, who don't use hormones, things like that. It's good for a lot of family farms that want to be able to take their beef operation globally.
That's good. Outside of tariffs, what do you think has been the most helpful, if anything?
In terms of a Trump policy for farmers?
Trump policy for farmers.
Yeah. You know, I think that there's something to be said for the deregulation. And you hear this from the right and the left. On the right, you know, it's been talked about for decades, centuries. On the left, you actually hear it being talked about even in like housing policy. Like, how do we streamline
like
and
the
make it more
abundance
possible
agenda?
to build?
Agenda?
Yeah, exactly. So that is true for farms. Like, if there is one thing we could do, it is removing some of the government process, some of the red tape, some of the expense that comes with trying to comply with things. Because here's what happens: whether you like government or not, a lot of the regulations, especially even if they're shooting for the big operators, they end up impacting the smaller operators the most because they don't have the money to navigate the policies.
If anything, there's actually a lobbying groups who want more regulation because, I mean, this is not just farming, right? This is across the board because it's like crushes competition.
Regulatory capture.
Yes.
Get a hold of that agency, you know, and have people who go into work there, you know, maybe there's a job waiting for them on the back end of that. You know, I'm sorry, but, you know, family farmer, you know, me and my dad could try to offer a job to somebody at the USDA afterward, but it's not going to go anywhere versus these larger interests. And so, you know, the regulations hit the mom and pop folks in a way that I think more people are beginning to realize.
Yeah, got it. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Venn diagram between conservatives and conservationists and the status of our public land.
Yes.
So my guest, co-host guest for the full show today is Brian Reisinger. I am Kristin Brey, and we'll be back with more Point Taken after this.
Hi, I'm Tony Drake from Drake & Associates. One of the biggest questions retirees face is, when should I take Social Security? Should you claim it earlier for a smaller check or wait for a bigger payout? The wrong move could cost you thousands over the course of your retirement. And here's something most people don't realize. Social Security is only one piece of your income puzzle. If you don't coordinate it with your other retirement assets, you could pay more in taxes or even reduce your benefits without meaning to. At Drake & Associates, we help hardworking Americans like you make sense of their Social Security options so you can keep more of what you've earned. This isn't just about picking an age. It's about having a strategy so your retirement income lasts. That's why I want to send you a free retirement toolkit along with a copy of my book, Get Retirement Ready. Inside, you'll find easy to understand strategies to help you maximize Social Security, lower taxes, and build a reliable income plan. Text SS to 414-897-9522 to claim your free copies while supplies last. If you're unsure about your Social Security options, don't wait. This is your chance to get clarity and confidence about your retirement income. Text SS to 414-897-9522. Secure your future today. Text SS to 414-897-9522. Drake & Associates, helping you retire with confidence.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
Summer's officially here, and Fleet Farm's ready to go with unbeatable outdoor deals. Stock up on 24 packs of Fleet Farm bottled water. On sale now, just 2 for $5. Get 20 pounds of Bear Mountain barbecue pellets for $7.99 a bag. And spruce up your yard with bags of Superior Weed and Feed for just $19.99. Whether you're grilling or chilling, get what you need at the best prices guaranteed this summer at Fleet Farm. And check out all our deals at fleetfarm.com.
Historic Fox & Hound Supper Club gift cards make perfect year-round birthday, anniversary, and thank you gifts. With the buy one dinner, get one free offer, it's like getting a free gift card. Order online at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com and enjoy your free dinner. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
When are these pirates gonna learn?
You think he's feeling it tonight? You bet he is. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and Castro ends up on his backside. That was filthy.
Our Brewers Pirates Radio Network coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 11:01, it is 77 degrees. Light rain showers moving through southeast Wisconsin right now. Expected high today around 80 degrees. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. President Trump on his way to a NATO summit in the Netherlands, where the recent unrest in the Middle East will be at the top of the agenda today. While on board Air Force One, the president asked whether he believed in Article 5 of the NATO Charter, which stipulates that if one NATO member state is attacked, it's considered an attack on the entire body.
I'm committed to being their friends. I've become friends with many of those leaders, and I'm committed to helping them.
The comments come after earlier comments by the president saying that Israel needs to, quote, calm down. He's thinking both Iran and Israel violating an earlier ceasefire the president brokered.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing.
Iran has threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz as retaliation for the U.S. attacking 3 of its nuclear facilities last weekend. That closure could disrupt the flow of the world's crucial oil supply and impact prices this summer.
But could it be just a threat? The head of petroleum analysis at GasBuddy.com, Patrick DeHaan, does not believe it will happen.
The regime has been talking about closing the strait on and off for probably 35, 40 years. I don't even know if they have the military wherewithal to be able to pull off a blockade of 55 kilometers of waterway.
DeHaan said even Iran has a vested interest in keeping the waterway open.
Because that's how their oil gets to the global market. It sounds simple, but closing this would be an incredible feat that we've never seen before.
Jessica Tai, WTMJ News.
At Milwaukee City Hall, the flag discussion is back. Just a few moments ago, members of the Common Council voting to approve a task force that will solicit new designs for a Milwaukee City flag. The flag design discussion going back several years. The newest process, championed by Alderman Peter Burgelis, seeks to create a task force that will choose designs by the end of this year in time for the city's 180th birthday celebrations next January. The Common Council approving the task force after a discussion. Alderman Scott Spiker, the lone abstention from the discussion. And 5 Pick and Save stores set to close in the Milwaukee area, including 2 in the city and 3 in surrounding suburbs.
Pick and Save says the closures are part of a larger company-wide decision to run more efficiently, and each impacted store associate will have the opportunity to transfer to a nearby location. The statement did not say when the stores will close. Kroger announced last week plans to close 60 of its grocery stores across the U.S. Kroger owns Milwaukee area grocer Roundy's Supermarkets, the operator of Pick and Save and Metro Market. Neil Doyle, WTMJ News.
A full list of the stores closing can be found online at WTMJ.com. Time now for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Gains for the big 3 so far today. The Dow up over 1%, up 446 points at 43,028, that is. The Nasdaq up over 1% as well, up 260 at 19,891. And the S&P 500 is up 58 points this hour. That's just under 1% on the day at 6,084. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are on the way next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Times 11:04.
Welcome back to Ask Hasslis. I'm Weston. What's your question?
How do you get pee out of an old mattress?
Well,
I'm asking for a friend.
the best way to remove urine from a mattress is to trade in that old mattress for a new Beautyrest or Sealy Posturepedic.
But that'll cost a lot of money.
Not at Hasslis Mattress. Through Monday, trade in your old mattress and get additional savings of $248 off a queen and $348 off a king. And that's on top of our everyday low prices.
Come on, everybody says lowest prices.
Others sell a Sealy Posturepedic Queen Emeryville A mattress for $1268. Hasslis sells it for $1034. But through Monday, it's just $786. And check out the low prices on Beautyrest and more. Plus, free next day delivery.
What does my friend do with his old soaked mattress?
We haul it away for pee.
What was that?
Sorry, I meant for free.
Sure you did.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasslis.com.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scavidi for QC Kinetics. Big focus in America today on your health, and you're determined to look beyond pills and steroids and surgery to feel your best, right? I want to talk to the person who's in pain right now, or maybe it's someone you love. I've got chronic elbow pain. Maybe someone you love is dealing with that issue. You've done everything they told you to do. The pain just comes back. You're exhausted, but you don't give up. You want to meet someone who can fix that for you? Let's meet with Medical Director Dr. Ashley Caravelli and her team. They'll explain how their regenerative treatments take your body's own healing power and help restore your damaged tissue. These are well-respected protocols that include potent and powerful cellular-level treatments. QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics has helped tens of thousands of people, so many of them right here in Milwaukee. No masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. Yes, you can say goodbye to that chronic pain and live your best life. Find out if you're a good candidate. The consultation is free. Just call QC Kinetics at 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. The Brewers look to right the ship tonight against the Pirates after falling to Pittsburgh in the series opener Monday evening. Brewers manager Pat Murphy on Wisconsin's Morning News says the team considers every game a challenge.
We have one of the best records in baseball since late May, and we're cliffhanging. You know, every day is a tough game. It doesn't matter who we're playing or when we're playing them or who we're facing. Every game for this young team is essential, and we can't get too up or too down.
First pitch from American Family Field at 6:40 tonight. Our coverage begins after the 6 o'clock news, right here on your home of the Brewers, WTMJ. On the eve of the NBA draft, former Bucks guard Drew Holiday being traded to the Portland Trail Blazers. The Bucks own just one selection in the two-day draft event. That is pick number 47 overall. Let's check the roads now. Your WTMJ time saver traffic. Going over the map, we do have some volume right now in our usual trouble spot, 4145. Heading south from Appleton Avenue all the way down to about Hampton, you'll be a little bit slow. And then riding north from about Watertown Plank Road all the way up to about Capitol Drive, you're going to be on the brakes there as well. No major incidents right now on the board. It is also a little slow, though, on 94 heading towards the city from about Mitchell Boulevard, past the stadium to about 27th Street, and then heading out of downtown on 43 up to Capitol Drive, and heading southbound on 94 from about National Avenue down to Oklahoma. In your WTMJ forecast for today, again, we've got some rain showers moving through. They're light in nature, mostly over Milwaukee, points north, and also another band just to the southwest as well. Definitely cooler out today, a high of 82, low of 62 tonight with possible storms. Mostly cloudy Thursday and Wednesday for that matter as well, with scattered storm chances and highs in the mid to upper 70s. 84 on Friday, partly cloudy. 83 partly cloudy on Saturday. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, we've got clouds, a little bit of light rain, and 77 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Times 11:09.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristin Brey.
Welcome back to the 11 o'clock hour of Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. Steve is back tomorrow. But staying with me for the next hour is Brian Reisinger. How do you describe yourself when you have to introduce yourself in like a one-sentence introduction?
Farmer's son.
Okay.
Writer, consultant.
Okay.
Here to do the people's work.
What was in your Twitter bio? Do you still have "Thank God I'm a Country Boy" in your Twitter bio?
I used to. Yeah, the John Denver. Yeah, that's a little inside country music fan thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So speaking of being a country boy, there was, I'm not sure it was like front page news. It crossed my social media feed because it felt like one of these issues that a lot of people were coming together to oppose. But over the weekend, I was reading about how there was Mike Lee, but there was other GOP lawmakers who were pushing to add a provision that would greenlight the potential sale of 2.1 million to 3.2 million acres of public land across 11 Western states. So conservationists, hunting groups, politicians from both sides, obviously climate folks, a lot of lefties, we're all just like up in arms about this proposal. So much so that Mike Lee announced yesterday that he is reconsidering.
Yep.
Walking back part of his plan to make millions of acres of public land available for sale. The budget proposal from Lee would require the sale of up to 3 million acres of federal land to states and other entities. But Lee has made some changes, tweeting that he wants to remove all Forest Service land from being eligible for sale. The proposal would reduce the amount of BLM land in the bill, too. Only land within 5 miles of population centers would be eligible here. Lee says he's made substantial changes to that proposal because of the opposition.
So, for those of us who don't want public land to be sold, I would say that sounds like a win.
Right.
Would you consider yourself one of those people?
I would. You're right that people all across the spectrum, right, left, hunting groups, conservation groups, everybody was opposed to this. I think one of the issues was the upside was not as clear as the downside, meaning the upside of like, the idea was that they wanted to sell this land to make it available for development.
For housing.
Yep. And there wasn't really a sense that was actually going to do all that much. It's not it's like not a ton of land from a development standpoint, but it's a lot of land from a conservation standpoint. And so you weren't necessarily going to bring down the cost of housing and have as big of a positive impact as maybe people thought. But what you were going to do is you were going to eliminate a lot of land that people who care about the great outdoors, our resources, the land and living close to it in wild places, you're going to tick those people off. And so the upside downside ratio was out of whack. And if you listen, I mean, like, you know, the woodland, the BLM land, I mean, that is a place where
people who don't know what is, because I think BLM sounds, it says something very different to different people.
Yes, it does. So there's Black Lives Matter, and then there's Bureau of Land Management. The latter is a little bit less exciting, less interesting, but BLM, Bureau of Land Management, this is land that is held by the federal government, and like people can go out there and just enjoy wild places. And so you had a lot of people from the right and the left who had a big problem with this because I think the value proposition was a little bit out of whack.
Because it was stated to be potential for affordable housing crisis and develop, but like how much money did he think that was it suggested as also part of like a cost savings revenue opportunity as they're trying to make the math with the big beautiful bill?
I think so, but I think that, you know, the flip side of that is like, you know, look at all the federal buildings around the country that aren't used because people are able to work remotely. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things to target. I think people's beloved wild places is not one of them, and I think Lee is making adjustments as a result. But it was interesting to see the number of people who came out against that.
Well, and it's interesting. I remember last year I interviewed Gen Z. I forgot exactly what the name of the organization was, but he had written an op-ed for Journal Sentinel, and he's part of a Gen Z conservative conservation, like climate activist group. And and we were talking about how, like, it's in the name, right? Like the overlap between being a conservative and being a conservationist is right there. And so do you feel like, how often do you feel like people who are conservatives and also value the outdoors and public land, that's both in Wisconsin but also across the country, like their priorities get compromised because there's sometimes, whether it's some of the environmental like EPA stuff and PFAS and some of the stuff that we're not always very nice to our environment. And there is, I'm not going to say it's, but like a lot of times it is Republicans who are leading the charge on that because it's pro-business.
Yeah. Well, the issue is that the environment is one of our most divisive issues, and it doesn't need to be. You know, nobody cares more about the land than farmers who need to farm it, than hunters, people who are there wanting to preserve the natural resource because they want to be able to utilize it in the future. in addition to a land ethic and growing up learning to care for our natural resources. If we can get these people, farmers, hunters, outdoorsmen, to be able to work with environmentalists rather than the two groups being at odds, there's a lot we can accomplish. And I think that's one of the problems is the environmental debate is so divisive, whatever you think about it, wherever you land on it. If you can get the people who own a lot of the land, the small family farmer, to work with you on soil quality, to work with you on abundant supplies of clean water, you can get a lot of things done. So do we want to conserve and get something done, or do we want to fight over it? There's that old joke, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting over. And I think
I've never heard that joke.
Yeah,
before.
I think
it
it should be
joke.
No, it's like a out west landman joke.
All right.
And I think we should get it the other way around, because we should be working on the water, and also whiskey's good for fighting too.
Yeah, I mean, some would say
better
that or tequila.
Yeah,
depends.
totally.
It depends on your sauce.
It
But
does.
All right, I want to ask when we come back, because this was something that there was a lot of this being the public land debate that was proposed. There was a public outcry about it, and almost immediately was reversed. Medicaid has not had that same fate. So I want to get your thoughts on why that is on the other side of this.
A buck doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin. For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee, Waukesha, Fort Atkinson, and Jefferson. Griffin. The buck stops here. The deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers.
An unsuspecting driver at a Milwaukee barbershop.
I got an apprentice here shadowing me. I'm gonna put this hot towel on, man. About a good 3 minutes, all right?
The apprentice is Donald Driver.
So when you come here, you drive?
Yes.
Your car got seatbelts?
Yeah.
You wear them?
No.
Okay, but why not?
I don't want to.
But do you know you can get a ticket for that? I'm gonna give you a ticket. Bet you wish you buckle up now. Oh my God.
Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Take it, click it. There we go. Click it or ticket.
And let's reduce fatalities on Wisconsin roadways. Sponsored by Wisconsin DOT.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. You've heard about Tri-County Contracting and their worry-free roof tune-up. You've heard about their instant roof quote. But don't forget, Tri-County Contracting also handles windows. Our project at my home moving right along right now, and the process has been so easy and thorough. It's nice when you can trust the team you're working with and know that they are looking out for you. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com. It's worry-free roofing, siding, and also windows. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com.
Well, you're probably on the hunt for buried treasure.
Buried treasure.
For this series, you may want to bring your tape measure.
Fly ball, center field, deep, and gone. The local kid connects for a 2-run bomb, and the Brewers have the lead.
The Brewers host the Pirates for a 3-game set. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. My guest host today is Brian Reisinger, and we were just talking about the about-face that happened with Utah Senator Mike Lee, first proposing selling public land, then reneging on that, largely because of public outcry, right? There's a lot of people across the political spectrum who did not want that to happen. Now, I would argue there is a lot of people across the political spectrum maybe they don't have as much power, but as far as actual voters who are not huge fans of Medicaid or SNAP benefits getting cut, which is a big part of the big, beautiful bill. And so despite the outcry on that, it doesn't sound like anyone's loosening their opinion on those cuts.
Right.
What do you see as the difference of why the public land piece was an easier thing to change your mind about versus Medicaid and SNAP?
There is an interesting debate going on within the right around Medicaid.
There is, and with Josh Hawley and stuff. You're right.
But you're right that remains part of the legislation and the public land thing. I think it comes down to public trust, public faith. So like people, like public lands and our wild places and the parks we preserved and all that stuff, people have a positive image and they have a strong public faith in those things. I'm not saying that people don't have faith in Medicaid or other government programs, but the issue is that there are a lot of people who have the sense, whether they're right or wrong, that there is waste, there's fraud, that and it is more of a political football, and so it gets kicked around a lot, and people can point toward all kinds of examples of abuses of government, and you can't really do that as easily with the public lands. So I think the public lands, there's a uniform outcry, and I think on these other programs, it's a little more complicated. And people, I think regular people out there are trying to figure out, where is their waste? Where are dead people getting benefits or whatever the case may be? And then where is their real program cut that would impact me? It's especially important, by the way, to rural areas. And I was talking about this with some national media outlets for a little while, where they were talking about how these, especially Medicaid, can impact rural areas from a health outcome standpoint. Hospitals.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really important that we get it right. And I think that the Republicans are going to be better off the more they focus on actual waste, fraud, and abuse, and the less they impact benefits that are going to impact rural communities, which is the base of their support.
So when you, as someone who worked for Ron Johnson, and I don't exactly know the most up to date where he is on whether or not he will sign the bill as is, but of course has been on record of wanting deeper cuts. So when he says deeper cuts, how do you do that while still only focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse?
Yeah. Well, I think that he would talk about how you need to address the parts of the federal government that are driving the debt, which is entitlements, and trying to have some sort of reform around that. I think there are other conservatives and Republicans who don't feel that way. So there's an interesting debate going on around that. The thing about Ron Johnson, whether people agree with his positions or not, is that he is going to march to the beat of his own drum. And so
was he always like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, always.
Have you seen a change in him at all over his time? Because were you with him from his beginning, from his first term?
I was not. I was a journalist then.
Okay.
And I was only in partisan politics for 5 years, worked for him for 2 of them.
Okay.
And then, for the last 6-7 years, I've been working on bipartisan issues and rural issues and independent of that stuff. But I have seen through all of that time, he's pretty consistent as a guy who's pretty dang conservative and also has an independent streak. And so, he's going to hold out on this legislation until he thinks that there is appropriate savings, changes in how this works. And I think
so you think he will hold out?
I think he'll hold out until then, and I know that I've seen the reporting that he and Trump are talking pretty regularly.
You think Trump called him like he said?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't. But last time, he held out and pushed for a tax cut for small businesses that ended up getting to be part of the tax bill at that time. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think that he's going to go quietly.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll take a break right now and come back and get your other thoughts on the big, beautiful bill. And then after the bottom of the hour news, we'll talk about Wisconsin's biennial budget, because there is some movement there yesterday that I think you and I might have opinions on. All right. Stay with us on Point Taken.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. But it's simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle, so I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Slide into your neighborhood Century Food Store to score the freshest produce, tastiest treats, and everything in between. Now through Wednesday, save on 5.95 to 8-ounce selected varieties Sargento deli-style sliced or American singles, 2 for $6. Gallon selected varieties Prairie Farms white or chocolate milk, $3.99. 10 to 12-ounce selected varieties Essential everyday tortilla chips, 2 for $4.50. 56 to 57.6-ounce selected varieties extra laundry detergent, $2.99.
Attention shoppers.
Safe.
Okay. Ooh, pineapple fulfills every need. While you're shopping, a drive way back, it's a goner. There's something goofy going on with the PA. Need a price check and I'll take me out to the ball game. See, what is going on?
You're hearing things. We're at Century Foods, and you can't take your mind off winning that ultimate baseball fan sweepstakes.
I'm hoping to throw out the first pitch at a Milwaukee baseball game.
Or attend batting practice.
Or hold the finish line ribbon for the racing sausages.
You don't say.
The ultimate baseball fan sweepstakes at Century Foods. Enter on Century's Facebook or Instagram by July 30th.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on June 24th.
Uh-oh. Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third down.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in June 24th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
We are talking to Brian Reisinger, consultant, writer, dad, farm boy. So as far as where we are right now, it sounds like they're still trying. So the big, beautiful bill passed, obviously, in the House, has some hurdles in the Senate, but Senate Majority Leader John Thune says he will not let senators leave for the 4th of July recess until the bill passes. Do you have thoughts or insight on how this gets done? Who's gonna bend the knee?
Classic tactic. You don't get to leave for the July 4th holiday or Christmas. It's amazing the incentive that is to get people to get something done. I can't say that I know for sure, but there are a lot of things that you can do to try to put some kind of limit on federal spending. And so I think that that's probably where there's room. You can figure out something. And so I think they'll probably figure out something in that area, and it'll move forward. So,
all right. So you think, how many changes do you think they'll have to make or will make from what the House bill was?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's 100 senators, so let's whittle it down from there.
Okay. But the thing is, this is what I find interesting. So I had texted this to our infamous group chat with Bill, Joe, Steve, and I. And this morning I saw that there's a new Quinnipiac, is that how you pronounce that? Quinnipiac poll that found only 27% of voters support President Trump's big, beautiful bill. I think there was a Fox News one that had it at 38, so a little bit of a swing there, but certainly not over 50. Bill, per usual, did not sound worried. He said the reconciliation bills are always unpopular because people don't understand what's in them, and now it'll be, once it's passed, the job for everyone to go out and sell it. Do you think that is true, as far as it's just people don't like it right now because of the little clips they hear here and there, but overall it'll be something that Republicans can actually go out and win on for 2026?
Well, from a Republican standpoint, it'll probably pass and it'll be popular amongst Republicans. And I think that the reason that the polling is so low right now is similar to what Bill said, which is that everybody's shooting at that one target, right? So the paper's getting pretty spotty right now. And so it'll pass. And as far as whether they're able to campaign on it with success, I think it depends upon whether they're going to be able to define for the American public how this impacts economic prospects for hardworking families. How does this affect the economic status quo for people who voted Republicans in because they wanted a change in direction on the economy? So the tax cuts, putting more money into people's pockets, and other things like that.
But it's largely tax cuts. We can agree on that, right, for richer people.
Well, they're going to have to run on the impact that can have on the economy. Okay. And they're going to have to be able to point to ways that all of these policies are improving the economic lot of families all across the country. If they can do that, they'll have a way to help themselves in what is going to be a very challenging midterm environment. If they can't, they won't. And it's going to be tough sledding, because it always is for the party in power.
Yeah, and it's just, it's interesting to see what, like, I feel like the words always comes back to, like, the vibes, right? Because this is so much of what the Biden administration ran into. Like, they were trying to talk about, the economic indicator, the classic economic indicators of unemployment and all these things, and trying to, like, gaslight people into thinking the economy, whatever we want to define that as, was good and strong, and yet people weren't feeling that. Like, the cost of things, the cost of living is something that certainly didn't start with Trump and is not going to end with Trump, as far as the wealth inequality and how expensive it is versus how much people are actually making. And I don't know if this bill solves that, right? And so it's like, to fast forward to see if that same logic gets applied of we provided tax cuts and, like, all the things that they can try to go out and sell on, but if people still aren't feeling like life is easier, if that will override, or if partisan politics will still just cut it the way and taint how people feel about the economy.
And there will be a lot of focus on the suburban swing vote, but the reality is that the rural vote, where so much Republican support came from, those are people who've lived in declining rural communities for a very long time.
All right, we got to go to news.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The Middle East remains on edge even as Israel and Iran try to hold to a ceasefire brokered by President Trump. The president, before leaving for the NATO summit in Europe, criticizing both sides, he says, for breaking the ceasefire after it began overnight, but says Israel also unloaded a barrage of bombs after accepting the deal, and warned Israel not to retaliate after a missile struck a residential building in southern Israel.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
Iran says it won't violate the ceasefire deal unless Israel does. A dangerous heat dome locked over the East Coast and parts of the South. Triple-digit temperatures posing a health danger and maxing out power grids. In Oklahoma City, the heat is also a concern as fans turn out to celebrate NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. The team welcomed back with a victory parade after beating the Indiana Pacers in Game 7. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:31. I'm Adam Roberts. An undocumented immigrant at the center of a federal case involving a Milwaukee County judge pleading guilty to entering the country illegally. Eduardo Flores Ruiz now faces a max penalty of 2 years in prison and, according to court records, will voluntarily deport after serving any jail time. Flores Ruiz was arrested by ICE agents in April after appearing in Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. Judge Dugan then charged with trying to help Flores Ruiz escape agents after his appearance. A federal judge recently delayed Dugan's trial with no new date set. Wisconsin's largest public university is recommending budget cuts to at least 5% for all departments. Madison Chancellor Jennifer Mnuchin says the cuts are a result of the ongoing state budget situation, as well as uncertainty regarding potential tariffs. And Pick and Save plans to close 5 grocery stores in Milwaukee County, including 2 in the city of Milwaukee and 1 each in Glendale, South Milwaukee, and Oak Creek. Spokesperson for Pick and Save did not clarify when stores are set to close. Time now for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Checking the latest numbers right now. It looks like everyone's still in the green this hour. The Dow up 491 points at 43,073. The Nasdaq is up 284 at 19,915, and the S&P 500 up 65 points at 6,090. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Checking the roads now, your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Heads up on 94 South near the Beecher ramp on the right shoulder. We've got a crash, and that's causing some minor delays backing up from about the crash point at the ramp all the way back up north of Lapham at this time. Elsewhere, still a slow go on 4145 heading north from about Highway 100 up to Capitol Drive, as well as 43 north from just around North Avenue up to about Keefe. Everywhere else is looking all right. And your WTMJ forecast. We're seeing some midday showers and thunderstorms starting to pop up. Right now, the latest band just west of Milwaukee and starting to move slowly to the northeast. That'll be here momentarily. A high around 82 today. Still a chance for afternoon showers and storms. That continues tonight with a low down to 62. Mostly cloudy, chance for storms Wednesday and Thursday, highs in the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy Friday and Saturday with highs in the low to mid 80s. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, some light rain and 78. I'm Adam Roberts, Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Times 11:34.
Erica, it's good to see you.
How are things at our amazing Germantown location?
Absolutely fantastic.
We heard you had a bold idea.
What is it?
We're celebrating our 45th year in business, so I think we should give away some natural diamonds.
Wow, that is a bold idea. How many and how big?
3/4 of a carat. 9 natural diamonds, each one clarity enhanced for maximum brilliance. 1 diamond for each store.
How should we mount them, Erica?
We'll give them away as diamond pendants.
So each of the 9 Kessler stores will have their own diamond pendant to give away?
Yeah, and all a person will have to do is to walk into a store and register to win.
Can a person travel to all 9 stores and register at each one?
Yeah, why not? And people will have from now until July 28th to register.
I'm in.
Me too.
It's unanimous, and people should bring in all their old jewelry so that we can professionally clean it for them for free.
That makes so much difference.
For the location of the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Don't miss the largest vacation sale in the nation coming this July. It's Fox World Travel's exclusive July sale with Apple Vacations and Celebrity Cruises. July is the best time of the year for unbeatable deals you won't get anywhere else. Get the hottest cruise deals or plan ahead for 2026 all-inclusive resorts paired with nonstop flights. Let Fox World Travel book your vacation and secure your reservation with just a deposit. Visit foxworldtravel.com/July and get on the exclusive list. Sale starts soon.
Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited, reminding you to double-check your home. Siding Unlimited is the proven exteriors professionals for 31 years. Family-owned and locally operated right here in Wisconsin. Call Siding Unlimited and visit sidingunlimited.com.
From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at amazonbusiness.com.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
This show is flying by. I knew it would. My friend Brian Reisinger is here talking about a variety of things. We've done mostly national stuff, a little Wisconsin stuff, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this. So obviously, we are also getting close to a biennial budget. Hopefully, we're getting close to a biennial budget in Wisconsin. Kind of some of the news last week was Republicans floating $87 million in cuts to the UW system. And I was thinking, I was like, well, is this going to be like what is the red line for Governor Evers as far as what he will or will not sign? I mean, he's signed every budget so far that has come in front of him. Granted, there's been some line item vetoes that came along with it. But late yesterday, I want to say like 4 or 5 p.m., maybe even 6 p.m. last night, it was announced that he says he will not sign a state budget that doesn't extend child care counts payments. And so that expires. For people who are unfamiliar, this was a pandemic era program that was federal money that was basically going to subsidize child care providers. And it was extended, and then it finally ran out, and it expires on June 30th. And the expectation is, at least what providers are saying, like 1 in 4 are going to close in Wisconsin, and we already have a ton of child care deserts. Obviously, this is going to impact parents. It's going to increase the amount. I think like 78% of providers said that they're going to have to raise their, the tuition. And so it is a big deal. It's a big deal. And like, as we said at the start of the show, you also have a young child. I would assume the child care situation in California is a little bit more liberal, but I actually am not familiar with what they do for any kind of subsidies or providing of affordable childcare out there.
Yeah, well, when she's back on the farm in Wisconsin, childcare is grandma and grandpa.
Yep,
and a tractor ride. So we try to take as much advantage of that as possible. In California, it's pretty robustly supported, and I'd also mentioned that there's also a longer time period for mothers after.
Yeah, there's a lot of paid leave out there because there's a lot of companies. I mean, I think Google, it's 9 months.
Yeah.
I think one of the companies I worked for at one point, it was like 6 months.
Yeah.
It's generous.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where some of the question comes in. So, Governor Evers has drawn his line, and there's the question, I think, for Republicans around how do we, deal with an issue that is going to make parents upset. There's a variety of ways that you can deal with it. Some of it is the type of spending the governor's talking about. There's also states all across the country that are going with tax credits for providers, tax breaks also for parents, finding ways to incentivize employers to do more daycare. Imagine,
that is a missing piece about this.
Yes.
Is like what role of the three-legged stool employers just kind of seem like they're off the hook.
Yeah.
When they should be very much part of the conversation.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, it's a big change. But imagine if we had all of those things working at once. So, we'll see where the state budget debate goes. But I think if there's a way for providers and parents and employers to all be part of the solution and to maybe be able to utilize lower tax burden and try to do some of that. There's also some streamlining that you can do. Like, for instance, and this was in California for when my daughter's with us in California in her daycare. We had a daycare provider that actually had to close because they had to change locations. They lost their location, not through like a problem with the daycare, but because like the owner of the home was like
the landlord was like
selling it or something.
Okay.
So
it was like in home.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were going to go to a new location. They would have had to start all of their licensing over again. The question is sort of like, why? Like, I want the right ratio, right number of daycare providers to kids and all this stuff. And I want all kinds of things. And you can really get my blood boiling about this issue. But, why do they have to start over completely if they have to change locations? Just as an example, so I think there's a lot of things that can be done.
So as far as like the regulation stuff, because that is the thing as far as where I think this is one issue in Wisconsin, at least, where I think everyone agrees that there is a problem, both on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Because Republican lawmakers, their solutions have been interest-free loans to providers, which is fine, but I also feel like doesn't when the actual economics of it doesn't make sense as a business, like a loan only delays the inevitable, right? And one of the things that was suggested is changing the ratios. Mm-hmm. Also lowering, like having 16-year-olds be able to work there. It's like, shouldn't 16-year-olds be in school? Right?
Yeah, I grew up with like child labor on the farm. So 16-year-olds where I'm from are pretty responsible. I don't know. Well, it depends.
But like during a work day, right? Shouldn't they be at school?
Yeah.
So there's some of the like deregulation stuff that has been proposed in Wisconsin that kind of feels like it's not actually going to fix the problem. And so let's take a break. Because I would, besides the one that you just suggested, of like what other solutions you think are viable. Because one of the like crazy things that happened in New Mexico is that they just basically started providing childcare for free for up to 400% of the federal poverty line. So it's like $124,000 for a family of four. And they dropped their poverty rate from 17% to under 11%. They lifted 120,000 people out of poverty.
I'm looking at my child care bill, and I can understand an element of that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about like actual solutions, and then get your other thoughts on anything else that's going on with the biennial budget. Because we're only got 2 segments left.
We're flying by.
He's Brian Reisinger. I am Kristin Brey, and this is Point Taken.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? At Milwaukee Weight Loss, we know the secret. Our doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program helps you lose weight fast, naturally and safely, and with no drugs or injections with risk of serious side effects, no prepackaged meals, bars, shakes, and no exercising required. Our program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good with a coach for ongoing support. Our program costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast as most other programs. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's Steve Scafidi. I've been on this weight loss journey since mid-January, and I'm currently in the maintenance phase, hitting my goal of losing, get this, 40 pounds. I reached my weight loss goal fast, easy, and safely, and I'm going to continue working with the wonderful team, Milwaukee Weight Loss.
Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's up to a pound per day. Schedule your free consultation by calling 262-449-1180 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Dan, what are you doing?
Taking a closet for a test drive.
A test drive?
Here at Inspired Closets, we have our own cutting-edge immersive design experience.
That's right. Envisioned by Inspired Closets uses AR technology that's sort of like test driving a car.
Virtually walk into your custom closet at scale before anything is even built.
You can even make changes in real time, so your environment will adapt to any design revisions you make in that moment.
Get started today at InspiredClosetsMilwaukee.com.
Inspired Closets, a wife and husband team.
I'm Jim Token, president of the Automobile Dealers Association of Metro Milwaukee. When it comes to service, if you're not coming to an Adam New Car dealer, you could be getting inferior service and paying too much. Adam service technicians are factory trained and must pass strict testing before ever working on your car. Replacement parts are factory manufactured and backed by a warranty. Best of all, superior service and peace of mind doesn't cost more at an Adam dealer. You'll find competitive pricing equal to or even lower than prices at independent shops. A well-maintained car delivers maximum gas mileage and saves you money. And nobody can keep your car running smoothly like an Adam new car dealer. Need service? Your first choice and best choice is an Adam new car dealer. Call one today or visit adamm.com to find out why you're always better off at an Adam new car dealer.
Get an oil change and safety inspection for trouble-free summer driving.
Woo! Hey, this is Ben Brust from Kyle Brust and Ortman on ESPN Wisconsin. People can't stop screaming about the Screamin' Sicilian frozen pizza, and no wonder. There's plenty to scream about, like the buttery stone-fired crust, secret recipe tomato sauce, mounds of whole milk mozzarella, and tons of premium toppings. Find Screamin' Sicilian in your local grocer's freezer and find out for yourself why Sport called Screamin' Sicilian's Holy Pepperoni frozen pizza the best of the best. Screamin' Sicilian. Taste what all the screamin' is about.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at accunet.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey, talking to Brian Reisinger. And so, because you said your blood boils a little bit when it comes to the child care, I'll call it crisis. I mean, It's not just Wisconsin, it's across the country as far as there's an issue with child care as far as good quality child care and the choice to invest in it versus, I've gotten this on every time I've talked about this on air, every time I've made a video about it or written a column about it. It's why should I have to pay for your kids, like your choice to have. If you can't have kids, if you can't afford kids, don't have them. All these different things, which kind of flies in the face of abortion laws and a bunch of other stuff. But my thing that I always come back to is the fact that, well, why did we arbitrarily decide that we are willing for to pay taxes for kindergartners at 5, but not any younger than that? Like, when did we decide that this is the magic number where it's a public good and it's good to educate our young people for the sake of the community when there's so much evidence that even starting even younger has even more benefits? I think it's something like 13 for every $1 you put into, it's a 13% return because of higher graduation rates, lower crime rates, better workforce, all these things. If you start school even younger,
where would you draw the line? How young would you go?
I mean, I think, not for everyone, but I think it's like if we're not going to have a more formalized paid leave, if you're making people, I mean, right now we have no paid leave, right? So there's people who 2 weeks after giving a baby are going back to work, which is insane to me to think about. Like, you've had a newborn before. Like, can you imagine handing that off to a stranger just because you have to go work your minimum wage job?
Right.
But that's the reality for a lot of people. But even for those of us who worked at a place that has 12 weeks, 3 months feels really young.
Yeah.
And so having a situation where there is subsidized, and we have a lot of industries that we subsidize for the sake of the economy and the workforce and affordability, to be able to say, if you're under this threshold of income, it is subsidized because it is valuable to society to have you in the workforce, and it is valuable to have quality childcare for as early as you need them to be in there, I think.
Wow. Fascinating. You went big.
I mean, I get pretty passionate about this.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Well, nothing makes me more mad than when my little girl has to come home from daycare and it feels like all the other kids are sick. But no, I think that it really comes down to what can we afford? And, it is going to run up against those families like ours that are passionate about their kids having good care and need that, especially if you're two working parents, and whether people want to pay for it or not. And I tend to think, and this is maybe just, a view that I have about being practical. I don't know that there's any one silver bullet. I tend to think that if we can find a way to incentivize parents, incentivize providers, incentivize employers, and to do that in a way that, helps natural economic activity occur, I think that is something that'll work a little bit better. But, meantime, you do crave that, magic bullet, especially when you got the kiddo home on a Friday, Not like a bullet, like, oh my gosh, shoot myself, but like, like a policy solution.
Like a policy solution.
And she's wonderful. We love having her home. She's a joy.
No, certainly on the weekends, it's like the sacred time. But like you have a wife who obviously loves her job.
Yeah.
And it is something that as far as, because some people are, well, one of you has to stay home or something.
Right.
It's like, can we not get to a point where we can figure this out and everyone can win?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's such a important magic time with kids this age. My wife and I, we have the baby in daycare for 3 days a week, and my wife works Saturday, Sunday, and then has off Monday, Tuesday. So we each take care of the baby for 48 hours each week, and I try to focus on that as like magic time, and it is because it's my Saturday and Sunday, and it's our time together. But for families who have to deal with that more during the week and don't have staggered schedules, as much as we'd love to have the same weekends off, it's nice to be able to take care of the baby. For working families that don't have a way to take care of their child if they have to be home during the week, it's a real challenge.
Yeah. I mean, it's popular. I mean, I saw something as far as like a poll that said like 90% of Wisconsinites in this poll, kids or no kids, thought that it would probably be good policy to help out working families.
Well, we saw during COVID the challenges of when kids are sent home from school or whatever the case is, and having to juggle all that stuff. And it's my sister described parenting as jumping out of an airplane and teaching everyone else around you how to use the parachute, and then hitting the ground and doing it the next day. And I think that's probably about right.
Yeah.
I only have one little parachute to work, and it works pretty good. But you get 4 or 5 of them.
It adds up.
Yeah.
All right. One more break, and then let's talk a little bit about the book.
All right.
And how that's going.
That's good.
He's Brian Reisinger. I'm Kristin Brey. This is Point Taken.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
How do you get pee out of an old mattress?
Well,
I'm asking for a friend.
the best way to remove urine from a mattress is to trade in that old mattress for a new Beautyrest or Sealy Posturepedic.
But that'll cost a lot of money.
Not at Hasselus Mattress. Through Monday, trade in your old mattress and get additional savings of $248 off a queen and $348 off a king. And that's on top of our everyday low prices.
Come on, everybody says lowest prices.
Others sell a Sealy Posturepedic Queen Emeryville A mattress for $1268. Hasselus sells it for $1034. But through Monday, it's just $786. And check out the low prices on Beautyrest and more. Plus, free next day delivery.
What does my friend do with his old soaked mattress?
We haul it away for pee.
What was that?
Sorry, I meant for free.
Sure you did.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
Slide into your neighborhood Century Food Store to score the freshest produce, tastiest treats, and everything in between. Now through Wednesday, save on 5.95 to 8-ounce selected varieties Sargento deli-style sliced or American singles, 2 for $6. Gallon selected varieties Prairie Farms white or chocolate milk, $3.99. 10 to 12-ounce selected varieties Essential everyday tortilla chips, 2 for $4.50. 56 to 57.6-ounce selected varieties extra laundry detergent, $2.99.
Attention shoppers.
Safe.
Okay. Ooh, pineapple fulfills every need.
While you're shopping, a drive way back, it's a gunner.
There's something goofy going on with the PA.
Need a price check and I'll take me out to the ball game.
See, what is going on?
You're hearing things. We're at Century Foods, and you can't take your mind off winning that ultimate baseball fan sweepstakes.
I'm hoping to throw out the first pitch at a Milwaukee baseball game.
Or attend batting practice.
Or hold the finish line ribbon for the racing sausages.
You don't say.
The ultimate baseball fan sweepstakes at Century Foods. Enter on Century's Facebook or Instagram by July 30th.
What would your community be like without UW-Madison? The UW is one of the country's leading hubs for supporting life-changing research. UW-Madison helps make a healthier Wisconsin, build strong businesses, and win the war for workforce talent, not just in Madison, but across our entire state. Visit uwalumni.com/UW5 to tell your legislators to support UW-Madison in the Wisconsin state budget. That's uwalumni.com/UW, the number 5. Paid for by the Wisconsin Alumni Association.
State Fair is right around the corner, and it's time to savor the savings. These $15 tickets will only be available through June 29th. Save today so you'll be feeling good at the Wisconsin State Fair, presented by U.S. Cellular, July 31st through August 10th.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on June 24th.
Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Kick
Watch the Brewers on local TV as they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness. Third down.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in June 24th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
We have come to the end. It feels like it was a sprint. I knew it would be, because whenever we get together, it's always lots to talk about. But he is Brian Reisinger. So fun. We'll have to have you back when Steve's here.
It's been great. This was easy as the breeze.
So easy. You were like, were you worried?
I was intimidated. 2 hours.
Yeah.
It just flew so fast. It's just, I don't know what I said. I don't know where we're at. We'll see. We'll check the comments after and
see if you
and
lost
assess.
any clients today.
Yeah, no idea. See if I kept my 2 listeners, my wife and daughter. Attention spans are not big in our household.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I don't know if that ever changes.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to. Has it been a year since the book came out?
Almost. It came out in
Almost
August
a year.
2024. Yeah.
So, Land Rich, Cash Poor, My Family's Hope, and the Untold History of the Disappearing American Farmer came out last year, but you're still kind of, not a book tour, but you're still, like, I think the last time I saw you, you were headed to Chicago to go to a book club. And so, what has the reception been? What have the reactions been over the last 10 months?
Yeah, we're like the Stones. We just stay on tour.
Yeah.
I have been, farm families are not an awfully talkative bunch. We're a stoic lot, if you will. And
a lot of therapy talk, a lot of feeling talk.
Not until the book came out. I was worried. I was grateful and felt blessed to have the opportunity. But the story, for those who don't know it, it's the hidden errors of history driving the disappearance of our farms and how that affects our food, but weaving that with my family story from the Depression to today. So we talked about farmland accidents and addiction, and we tried to tell a raw, honest story. And I was a little bit afraid of what would other farm families think. And I have been so grateful for the outreach we've gotten across Wisconsin, across the country, people who see that we tried to tell an honest story. We tried to deal with complicated policy in an honest way, tell the history of how Republicans and Democrats, everybody in between, have made decisions that have made it harder for farms to make it. And again, how that affects our food supply. I've found that it's an issue that people don't necessarily realize, because a lot of people think, because it seems that way, that their food comes from the store. But then once people realize and that light bulb goes off, you see how much the issue resonates with people. So I've been very grateful for the response we've gotten back.
Is there going to be a sequel, or where do you go from
That's
here?
a good question. We are in the laboratory, or in the barnyard, I guess I should say, working on it at all times. Before a next book, we're coming out in paperback. So sales have been strong enough. We're coming out in paperback in September. Grateful for that opportunity. Going to be next month. Appearing before the Nonpartisan Farm Foundation, where we were named Book of the Year. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Very, very grateful and humbled by all that. And it just is an opportunity for us to keep shining a light on this issue. So I do expect to keep writing about this stuff. And I think telling the hidden stars of rural America is something that I'm finding people have cared about from every walk of life. So I'm trying to strike while the iron's hot, or make hay while the sun is shining, or I'd have to figure out which metaphor to settle on.
Whiskey, water.
Whiskey and water,
something like that.
Exactly.
All right. So besides the obvious places, any local spots where people can support a local bookstore and also find your book?
Absolutely. So in addition to Amazon and other places online, bookstores across Wisconsin, Boswell Books is where we had our launch. We're there with the great Mike Couchet. So you can find it at Boswell. You can find it at other bookstores all across Wisconsin. And I appreciate anybody who picks it up. And my hope is that we've told an honest enough story that we can keep a discussion going about what's going on in this country and what we can do about it.
Well, my discussion with you today was awesome. I don't know if listeners liked it. I liked it, which is all that matters. But thank you so much for being with me today, Brian.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you to Steve for being off sipping scotch in Scotland. And again, I hope I haven't left him too much wreckage when he comes back. The thing about being the guest host is you don't know if you go for broke or you play it safe so they have you back. And so we'll see which this was.
I think we'll have you back. All right, he is Brian Reisinger. I am Kristin Brey. Steve is back tomorrow, and news is next.
Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ's Steve Scafidi, and Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day after a brutal storm in Oak Creek. Hail damage, yeah, I had a lot of it. But Jeff, Jake, and the whole team, absolute pros, made the entire process smooth